Hello everyone, my name is Diksha and I am from the Bodhi Academy. Today I am going to do one of the important chapter from 12th standard chemistry, that is solutions. So I will be discussing some important concepts of this chapter, that is the solutions, in this video. Okay, so let us start with the chapter. Now solutions, what do you mean by solutions? Solutions, are the homogeneous mixture. Okay, this word is very important. Homogeneous mixture of two or more than two components. Okay, now homogeneous means what? Homogeneous, the meaning of this word is when you have the substances or the components uniformly mixed with each other. Okay, so there are no differences in the they are uniformly mixed with each other. Now in homogeneous mixture, that is in solution, okay, we have two components, and these two components are known as solvent and solute. Okay, solvent and solute. And in this chapter now we are going to study mostly binary solutions. Binary solutions means the solutions in which there are only two components. Okay, now we can have three components, four components, more than that components, but here we are going to study the two components. Okay, solutions in which there are two components, which are called as binary solution. Now let us take one example. Okay, I have a glass. In that I have a glass, and in that if there is water, okay, there is a water, and if I put 1 spoon of salt, okay, 1 spoon of salt in this water, then I can see that salt get dissolved in water. That means we can say that the solid which I have put in the water, it is uniformly mixed with the water. Okay, so this salt, when you dissolve in water, it forms salt solution. Now we can say this as a solution. Now plain water is not a solution. When you put salt, it becomes a solution, and since it is having water and salt, it is called as a binary solution having two type of components. Okay, this is the example of solutions. And now which component we will call as solvent and which component we will call as solute? So the component which the component that is present in largest quantity, meaning in this case it is water. So the component which is present in largest quantity is called as a solvent, and solvent determines the physical state in which solution exists. And what is called as a solute here? The component which is present in the lesser quantity other than solvent, it is called as a solute. Okay, so in this case, in this example, salt will be solute and water will be solvent, and they both makes the solution. Now in this table they have given the different examples in which we use one component as a as a solute and as a solvent when we use one of the three phases, that is solid, liquid, gases, what kind of solutions we get. So just you have to go through this. Now next important concept we are going to cover is expressing the concentration of solutions, and first of all we will see mass percentage, which is very important, okay, in terms of solving problems. So what is mass percentage? Mass percentage means it is given by mass of the component in the solution divided by total mass of the solution into 100. Okay, now let us understand this through one example. If a solution is described by 10% of glucose in water, okay, 10% of glucose in water. Now what do you mean by 10% of glucose in water? That means the solution will be having, solution will have total 100%. Okay, in that 10% will be glucose, so 10% I will write glucose. Okay, now solution is made up of what? Glucose and water, no? So other 90% which is remained, that will be our water. Okay, so 90 and 10 making 100%, which is the glucose solution. if it is given, sometimes in problems they directly give 10% of glucose dissolved in 10% glucose makes the solution and all. So in that case they don't give the mass, like how much gram of glucose is there. So how you have to understand the mass through this. When it is given 10% of glucose, you have to consider it as a 10 gram. When they give 20%, 30%, you have to consider that in grams. Okay, and if you have 10 gram of glucose, then remaining 90 gram will be water. This way you have to understand it. Okay, because most of the times they don't give directly the mass, they only give the percentage. Then volume percentage, which is not that important, but we will still cover. Volume percentage is volume by volume. So volume of the component, whenever we have especially whenever we are talking in terms of volume, that time this term comes, that is volume percent of a component, volume of the component by total volume of the solution into 100. For example, if you have 10% ethanol solution, 10% ethanol solution in water, that means ethanol solution, so it will be volume. We will talk about the volume here. That means 10 ml of ethanol is dissolved in water, and total volume of the solution will be 100 ml. Okay, so 90 ml will be water. So same way. Next is mass by volume percentage, in which we will in numerator we will consider the mass or the weight, and in denominator we will consider the volume. And next is parts per million. In short form we call this as ppm. Okay, in laboratory we use this quantity. And what is this ppm? Number of parts of the component per total number of parts of the component of the solution into 10 raised to 6. Now why 10 raised to 6 we have to take here? Because we are talking about parts per million. Okay, so that's why we have to take 10 raised to 6. Now next we have mole fraction, which is very important, and it is used in the further concepts in which we are going to solve the problems. Okay, which is very important. So mole fraction concept is very important and it's easy. Mole fraction of component is given by the formula number of moles of the component by total number of moles of all the components. Okay, now how do we find the number of moles? So let us take one example. We will take we will take a component which is dissolved in water. Okay, I will take glucose only, C6H12O6. Okay, C6H12O6 is dissolved in water. Now there will be mass given of this component. Whatever solute you put, there will be mass given. So if they have given mass as suppose 15 gram of glucose. Okay, 15 gram of glucose is given. Then how to find the number of moles in terms of glucose? So there is one formula. Okay, now the grams or the weight which is given will be given mass, and we have another mass of this glucose that is called as a molar mass, and that we can find using the formula. So I have C6H12O6. So I have to take the mass of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, and you have to multiply with its respective number. So carbon mass is 12 into 6 plus hydrogen is 1 into 12 plus oxygen is 16 into 6. Now you have to add all these components. Now this will give me value 180 units. Okay, so mass of glucose is 180. Now this is the molar mass of glucose. Okay, molar mass, and this the given mass is this 15. So this is given mass. Now how to find number of moles? Number of moles of glucose will be, which is denoted by small n also. Number of moles of glucose will be given mass upon molar mass. So given mass is how much? 15 grams, and molar mass is 180. So the value which I get here will give me the number of moles of glucose. Okay, so this is the way to find the number of moles of any component. Okay, now after finding number of moles, we have to put, now if you are finding, if you have water and glucose in a solution, so I have one component as glucose, other component as water. So you have to find the number of moles of both the components, okay, by using this formula, and then you have to write mole fraction of whatever component they are asking. Like if they ask about glucose, then you have to write about glucose. If they are asking water, then write the moles of water. So number of moles of the particular component divided by total number of moles of all the components. Now here we have moles of glucose and moles of water. So whatever components we have, okay, so all the component number of moles of all the components we have to write in the denominator. So that gives us the mole fraction, and mole fraction is denoted by this letter, that is chi. Okay, it is a Greek letter which denotes the mole fraction. So if I have A and B as a components, then chi A, that is mole fraction of A, will be given by Na, that is number of moles of A, divided by Na plus Nb, that is number of moles of A and number of moles of B. And if I have, now we can have many components, n number of components in the solution. Now here we are talking only about the binary mixture of binary solutions in which there are only two components, but we can have n number of components, and then for that situation or for that condition we can write the formula as, if I have to find number of moles of first component, then chi 1 will be equal to n1 upon n1 plus n2 plus n3 and so on, n plus n I or n. Okay, so this will give me the mole fraction of the n1 or the first component. And one more thing you have to remember here. Now we will talk about binary solutions only. In binary solutions, I have component A and component B. So I will have their respective moles, that is Na and Nb. So which will give me the mole fraction, that is chi A and chi B. Okay. So chi A and chi B, if you have two components, then there is one relation that will tell you about chi A and chi B. So if you find chi A, okay, if you got the value of chi A, and if you also want to know chi B, then no need to do all the calculation to find chi B, because there is one relation that will tell you directly about chi B if you know the chi A value. So chi A plus chi B is equal to 1. This is a relation. And now if I know chi A value, then I can write chi A is equal to 1 minus chi B. So this way I can relate the chi A and chi B. So if I know chi A, if chi A value is suppose 0.56, okay, then so if chi A value is 0.56 will be equal to 1 minus chi B. So now I can keep this chi B over here, and I will take 1 over here, and otherwise what I will do, I will take chi B on this side and 0.56 on this side. Okay, so it will become chi B is equal to 1 minus 0.56, and which will give you the final answer. Okay, now this problem is given in which they have solved the number of moles along with mole fraction. So what is the problem here? Calculate the mole fraction of ethylene glycol in the solution containing 20% of C2H6O2 by mass. Now they have given 20%, they have not given directly the mass, they have given 20% of ethylene glycol. Okay, this formula is of ethylene glycol. Now they have not given what is solvent over here. Now whenever they don't give, you have to consider it as a water. Now they have given 20% of C2H6O2, that is ethylene glycol. That means 80% will be water, that is 80% will be solvent. So 20 gram you have to consider of ethylene glycol and 80 grams you have to consider of water, and same way you have to solve the problem. Next concept is molarity, which we have already studied in 11th standard, also for practicals. Molarity is number of moles of solute per volume of solution in liter. So this is the basic formula of molarity, which tells us about the concentration, and molarity is in terms of volume of solution. Okay, so it is in terms of liters. So if you have given 0.25 mole per liter or 0.25 molar solution, it means that 0.25 mole of NaOH has been dissolved in 1 liter of water. Okay, and next is molality, Molality is little different from molarity. It tells us about moles of the solute per mass of solvent in kg. So here we consider mass and not the volume. So mass of solvent in kilograms, okay, not in other units. So it is in kilograms. So for example, if you have 1 mole per kg or 1 molal solution of KCl, it means that 1 mole of KCl is dissolved in 1 kg of water. This is a only difference is molarity and molality is molarity is it depends on the volume of the whole solution, okay, in liters, and molality depends on the mass. So that's why molarity is a function of temperature, okay. Molarity, it is a function of temperature, since its volume depends on the temperature and mass does not. So mass basically it does not depend on temperature, okay, to that extent, but volume depends. Like if you have anything in liters, okay, or in the volume of anything, any component, then it depends on temperature, because temperature is going to affect that volume. So that's why if you have increase the temperature, if you decrease the temperature, it is going to affect the molarity and not molality, okay. So molarity is a function of temperature because volume depends on temperature and mass does not depend on temperature. Now next is about solubility of solid in a liquid. Now we know about the solubility of solid in a liquid because we do this experiments, or we do this type of experiments at home also, when we mix sugar in water, when we mix salt in water, okay. Now here we need to understand one important term here, that is, if you have polar solution, if you have non-polar solution, then polar type of component will dissolve in polar solvent and non-polar type of component dissolves in non-polar solvent. So this tells us about the concept that like dissolves like, okay. Then now if I have a beaker, okay, in that there is some water and I add 1 spoon of salt, okay, and after adding salt, if I stir it, it will dissolve, but again after dissolving that salt, I add 1 more spoon of salt. So I keep on doing that, okay. It will, now what will happen, it will dissolve to some extent, but one point will come, at that time it will stop dissolving the salt, and that point is called as a saturated solution. That at that point we can say the solution is saturated. So the concentration of solute in the solution remain constant under given condition and temperature and pressure. Similar process followed when gases dissolve in liquid solvent. So solution in which no more solute can be dissolved at same temperature and pressure, it called as saturated solution. And opposite to that is the unsaturated solution in which more solute can be dissolved, okay. So this is about saturated solution. Then effect of temperature when we dissolve solid in liquid. So how the temperature affects this? So it is actually affected by the temperature because it follows Le Chatelier's principle. Le Chatelier's principle states what? Le Chatelier's principle states that whenever there is a change in factors such as temperature, pressure, concentration, okay, whenever the reaction is in equilibrium, the reaction is going to go in such a direction that will counter the change in reaction. So this is a statement of Le Chatelier's principle. Now this will follow the Le Chatelier's principle. So here what will happen, if the dissolution process is endothermic, solubility should increase with rise in temperature, and if it is exothermic, solubility should decrease. So this is followed in terms of solid in liquid dissolution, that is effect of temperature. Then effect of pressure. Pressure will not have any significant effect on solubility of solid because they are highly incompressible. So this effect we can see in only gases. Next is solubility of gas in liquid. Now we know most important example of gas in liquid, solubility of gas in liquid is aquatic life. So why aquatic life? They can breathe underwater because gases are soluble in water, that is especially oxygen, and Also the soft drinks or soda bottles which we can see, in those bottles you can see there is gas filled under very high pressure. So that is the example in this case. Now here, when we talk about solubility of gases, we will come across one law which is called as Henry's law. Now what this Henry's law states, it states that the solubility of a gas in a liquid is directly proportional to the partial pressure of the gas present above the surface of the liquid or solution. Okay, see, solubility meaning whatever, whichever gas you take, when you put it in a liquid, then the solubility of that gas in liquid is proportional to partial pressure of the gas present above the surface of the liquid. Okay, meaning it directly proportional to the gas pressure of the gas present above the surface of the liquid. So if you use the mole fraction of gas in the solution as a measure of its solubility, then it can be said that mole fraction of gas in the solution is proportional to partial pressure of the gas over the solution. So this is the modified statement of Henry's law using mole fraction as the solubility factor. Okay, so the most commonly used form of Henry's law, it states that partial pressure of the gas in vapor phase is proportional to its mole fraction of the gas in the solution, and it will give the statement as P, it will give us a formula as P is equal to KH. KH is called as Henry's constant into car. Okay. Then Henry's law finds several applications in industry and explains some biological phenomena. So first of all, this is common example to increase the solubility and carbon dioxide in soft drinks and soda water. The bottle is sealed under high pressure. Okay, and as soon as you open the bottle, you can hear that fizz sound because the external pressure is less than the pressure under which they have sealed. Okay. And next example is scuba divers must cope with high concentration of dissolved gases while breathing in air at high pressure. Increased pressure increases the solubility of atmospheric gases in blood, and when they come towards the surface, the pressure decreases, and this releases dissolved gases and leads to the formation of bubbles of nitrogen in the blood, and that's why it blocks the capillaries in the blood and creates a medical condition called as bends, which are painful and dangerous to life. So to avoid the bends, the tanks used by scuba divers are filled with air diluted with helium, that is helium, nitrogen and oxygen. Okay. Then at higher altitudes, partial pressure of oxygen is less than that ground level. Now you must have observed the people who go for trekking or higher altitudes, mountains, then when they start climbing, after some time they will feel that there is shortage of this air. Okay, so or shortage of oxygen. So this leads to low concentration of oxygen in the blood and tissues of people living in high altitudes or climbers. So low blood oxygen causes climbers to become weak and unable to think clearly. So this condition is called as anoxia. Then effect of temperature. Solubility of gases in liquid decreases with rise in temperature. When dissolved, the gas molecules present in the liquid phase, the process of dissolution can be considered similar to the condensation. So how the temperature affects this solubility of gas in water? It decreases with rise in temperature. Whenever you increase the temperature, it decreases. Okay, so I will stop with this part. The next part of this chapter, and next part with colligative properties and other concepts we will discuss in next part of this video. Okay, so thank you.